Today, we're talking about creating an AI-powered adaptive card web part. This is part of a series that we are putting together. We've introduced the adaptive card web part in the previous calls. Now, today, we're going to talk to you about our custom property pane right here. So let's go to a demo. This is our web part. And when you configure it, you get this fancy custom property pane. The first thing you can do is you can actually edit a template. And we've got a few sections here. Let me put some content in there so you can see. First, I'll put a template. There you go. So this allows me to put adaptive card content. It allows me to do a preview right away from here. And eventually, we'll be putting our AI chat in here. I've made it possible for you to toggle between just editing the code, viewing, or seeing both, and hitting apply here. Actually, let me just go change that. Let me just show you that it's dynamic. So when I update it, you can see that it automatically updates in the call. All right, let's do something else. Let's actually go put a template that has data. So here's a template that uses data, and you can see there's these weird dollar signs, squiggly thingy that are not intended to be shown. But this is where we have the ability to select a data source. Now, in our future plans, what we'll be doing here is we'll be adding different types of data sources. You can see static data, SharePoint, API, RSS, and it looks like my icon's broken. But if I pick the static data, for example, and I put some static data there, you can see that it immediately updates my adaptive card. And the idea would be we'll be able to call APIs and so on and so forth. But for sake of time, let's go back to our code. All right. So with the code, first thing that we should talk about is our property pane has a few sections, right? All property panes are designed the same way. They all have a, let me just check here how much time I got. All right, good. They all have a header, which can optionally have a description. I put a description in here. Then they have one or more pages, and pages have one or more groups. Each group can have one or more components or property pane fields. In this case, I have kind of my data source, which is a radio picker, and I have here a label and a Monaco Editor. I'll talk about Monaco Editor in a second. But how do we do that? Well, every web part has the opportunity to create a function called getPropertyPaneConfiguration, and its job is to return AI property pane configuration. That's all really it needs to do. So it returns pages, like we talked about. It returns the header, and then the groups. And then each group contains a group name and a bunch of fields. Now we're going to focus on the data group to start with because it's a little easier. Again, the group fields are bound to, the first one is my choice group, which is bound to the data source property that I've opted. And so I give it a label, oops, and I give it some options. So my options here are no data, and you'll notice that I actually can pass a icon property, and I get to pick an icon from Office Fabric icon. Where do I get this name? Well, there's this cool website called flycon.io that allows you to actually find the icons you want. In this case, I was looking for something that showed an empty status. You can copy that and paste it in here. All right, let's move on. So I've got here an icon for the list, the SharePoint list, for the API, And then in this case, I didn't find a out-of-the-box icon that had RSS in the Fluent UI Office Fabric, whatever it's called now. So what I did is I actually, although that's the part that didn't work when I was demoing it just now, but I just got an RSS SVG icon and I embedded it as a require. Now, since I prepared this code, I've changed this to not use a require, but the idea is the same. I'm just embedding an SVG and I'm using it as the image source and the selected image source, which gives us the same icon when the thing is selected or not. Now, what I've also done is I've created some optional fields. So in this case, what I say is, if the data source is static data, I want to show a label, and I want to show a property pane Monaco. Again, I keep on using this term. What is this Monaco? We'll show it in a second. And then what I say here is, if it's not static data, return nothing or an empty array here. So what it's doing is it's going to append this. Now let's go back to the property pane Monaco, which is the editor that I showed at the top. Why am I calling it Monaco? Well, it's because of this cool control. It's called Monaco, funny name. And what it is actually the component that powers VS Code. Now, thanks to Microsoft for totally making this page accessible and using the word here. I'm just kidding here. But what the Monaco editor does is it has IntelliSense invalidation. It's got syntax colorization, and it will support approximately a bazillion languages. Don't quote me on that, but it'll select a whole bunch of languages and even offers things like a diff editor and everything. So the actual core functionality of VS Code is built into this component, and that's what I've embedded in my web part. So this is my Monaco editor here, property pane Monaco, and really all it does is it binds to a target property, in this case, either the data or the template, and it passes all the properties for this control. Because it's a custom control, it needs to return an I property pane field with internal properties. And these are the properties I'm passing here. So the value, obviously, so it's either the data or the template. The language, because I want to be able to specify things like I want to pass JSON or things like that. I also have a custom language provider, so I can pass custom template, which we'll demonstrate much later in the series, and the ability to either show an expandable panel or an inline editor. I try to localize everything, like the button title and the panel title. And when I change things, I want to be able to notify the web part that changes are happening. The internal properties, because it's a custom property pane field, it needs to extend the I property pane custom field props. And that contains methods like onRender, which is how it knows, how SharePoint knows how to render the custom property pane control. And then it also needs to specify that this is a custom field type so that it knows how to handle that. Now, inside of that, and let's see here, I'll go quickly, but inside of this component, all I need to do is return elements. So I create a stack, and then I have logic that says if it says show the online editor, show the little Monaco editor host. If not, show the expanded Monaco panel. And you can see here that I've got some code that I vibe coded because it's got an emoji in it. But this is where I control whether the large property pane is open or not, where I specify the value that I want to display. And this is how I actually tell it to update the web part when I make changes, or when I hit apply in this case. And then last little bit here, This is my expanded panel. So I literally just use a regular Fluent UI panel, but what I do is I specify that it's an extra large panel. I specify that there's a customized footer at the bottom, and I have a method to render the footer. And then I just create a stack with a toolbar, and then a grid that has my chat component, which is either shown or not, my editor column, and my preview column. And that's pretty much all I have for today. So again, we've talked about how to create a custom property pane, which embeds the Monaco Editor and embeds the adaptive card viewer in the property pane. Next time, we will show you how to use AI to actually render the adaptive card and embed that into that custom property pane. If you want to find out more, you can find out about Monaco Editor, Flycon, Adaptive Card, and the PNP reusable controls at these links, which I'm sure David has shared with you. That's all I have for today.